Good morning, Nick Markey here, physical therapist and online fitness coach. Going on my morning walk with Snickers here. Come on, buddy. Come on. Button on that screen not working well. Anyways, did a post the other day, what people are struggling with their health and fitness, and it looks like there was quite a few people said something like priorities or time, and I figured that would be a good topic to talk about. So how do you prioritize your health? I guess the first thing is, what can you do anyways for your health, right? I guess you could say there are four main pillars for your health in terms of lifestyle factors, right? So we're not talking about, somebody has, unfortunately like a chronic disease or something, something like hereditary or whatever, something that they just have no control over. Sometimes you will need pharmacological support, pills, medicine, all that. Anyways, so you have basically the four things. You have exercise, you have your nutrition, you have sleep, and you have stress management, right? So those are kind of your top four, right? And by using the broad term health, you're referring to generally your entire, being, right? Your physical, your mental. Now, your body doesn't demarcate those things. They're all one and the same, the physical and mental. It's all working together so that you can exist in the world, right? So typically, if someone can't prioritize something like exercise, right? So the reality is that that's probably an error in terms of, maybe how they schedule their day, right? So if, we should be getting some form of aerobic exercise each day, or generally most days, and we should be active during the day, right? And some sort of resistance training, a few days a week, for the minimums, right? How do you prioritize that? So I've talked about this before. You basically have to build it into a schedule or a system, and you probably need to start real small, okay? So nothing like, I'm gonna go to the gym and say you're not doing any real exercise at all. And by exercise, we're just meaning you setting time for just focusing on doing some sort of activity for that activity's sake, instead of just I have to get up and move around for my job or whatever my daily goals are, or whatever, doing my life. So, say that someone they're not going to the gym or anything like that. Okay. Hold on a second. Snickers freaking out a little bit. You want to do real small chunks, okay? Because very likely it's not going to just happen right off the bat, right? So I would say, you want to schedule something real small, maybe even just 5 minutes. Some might say, well, what's 5 minutes going to do? Well, it's better than doing absolutely nothing, right? Maybe you just, if you use a weekly planner or your Google Calendar or whatever, plug in a 5-minute little workout. Could literally be I do, push-ups until I can't do them anymore, or on the ground or on the counter. Then I do some, air squats or chair squats, wall squats, whatever. until I can't do them anymore. Maybe that's just where you start. So I think a lot of times people expect this like grand flip of the switch where they're like, oh, well, I'll suddenly start going and doing like half an hour to an hour of exercise every day. And for most people, that's just not going to work. If that's never really been a priority for you, suddenly adding all that extra time in, or expecting that you will, is just probably setting yourself up for potential failure, right? Hope people can actually hear me with this all. Maybe it's not the best place to walk to do this, at least at this time. Make it real small, bite-sized chunks. Same thing with nutrition. If you're not eating well, whatever someone deems as that, maybe you eat literally no fruits or vegetables all day. Maybe you just start with focusing on one. You write down on a piece of paper, or if you got like a whiteboard or a bulletin board, you make a little checkbox. It says, I've had my one fruit or vegetable today, right? So, what I'm saying is that, obviously there's a mental shift that may happen that you may need to do, in terms of like, why you care to do this, why do you care now in terms of taking care of, yourself. That can definitely help fuel you, but you've got to I think sometimes you just have to jump into it and make just little small incremental goals. Like in this case, you talked about, setting up a 5-minute workout and, eating one fruit or vegetable in the day. Something real small, a low bar that you can accomplish. And then once you're consistently accomplishing that, you can add a little bit more time, and, you might start shifting your mental focus and prioritization towards doing these things a little bit more. So, because, sometimes someone will have like something happen, they'll have some sort of, medical or health event or something. Someone will say something, you're starting to get a lot of excess body fat, and, a kid, they'll tend to speak their mind, they'll say something, and maybe that just makes you feel like, oh my God, something no one else was saying, for being polite, but then the kid just speaks their mind, so you're like, oh my goodness. You may have that, you may not. You may just randomly one day feel like, I'm tired of not being very healthy, and I want to change this. And you then have to decide on what choices you make with your time, right? So, with that being said, you need to make it, ultimately small little chunks, and that little incremental change, you're starting to actually create a little bit of a system in a way that then you can rely upon, that then starts to shift your priorities. So, and that's basically what I do with my clients. First we do try to find, as deep a motivation as we can in terms of like, why someone wants to be healthy now, right? Because most people will never change, where they're at. And I try to help people find that deep motivation to help kind of fuel them moving forward. And then we start to create a system together where you can rely on that system when things get tough, right? Because it's going to be, your desire is going to be up and down. You're going to want to quit sometimes, but if you have a system that you can fall back on, then you're going to be far more likely to actually be successful. So kind of a long-winded way of saying, priorities and time are something that you need to develop over time. And if, depending on where you're starting, it makes more sense to do really small micro goals to inch your way forward instead of trying to take a big chunk out and, inevitably when there's some difficulties, having a higher risk of quitting. So I hope that was helpful in terms of if you're finding, time or priorities. I think they're very similar in terms of, struggles for health and fitness. And again, if you need help with developing that system and you need the support and accountability, I'm doing this all online. It's really flexible. Meet via Zoom weekly. We've got our 6-week program starting on the 8th. So this coming Monday, just drop a, hashtag me or shoot me a DM if you want to talk about it. All right. Well, I hope you have a great Wednesday. For some of us, hump day, and enjoy your day.